Hey guys, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, I'm going to talk about a story that is out here right now circulating. And I didn't believe it when I first seen it. And I was just doing my research, man, and it's true. And I got a whole bunch of information to show you. This is going to be a long video. And it might be a triggering video for some people, but things are what they are and they need to be talked about. You see these two people up here? I'm going to put them on this side today. This is Donald Ray Lance, 63 years old, and Jean K. Whitefeather, 62 years old. Presently living in Charleston, West Virginia, but they're not from West Virginia, they're from Washington State, but we'll get into that later on. These people right here, on October 2nd of last year, were put up on charges because they had 5 children, all black, aged 16, 14, 11, 9, and 6 years old, adopted children, and they were using them as slaves to work, I guess, the land they had. These people are wealthy. Now, the kids have been taken away from since, this happened. But I want to talk about this whole situation, man, because this thing right here got a lot of people riled up. Now, it just made news now. Story been out, but it wasn't publicized. Remember, it's in West Virginia. A lot of people ain't, watch the press. This is something that needs to be talked about, man. There's still people out here with a primitive mindset. There's still people out here that will, use the backs and just bodies of other people for their own personal gain. We see that all the time, even nowadays. But I'm going to show you a series of videos, and I need you to pay attention to these videos. And then I'm going to come back and read you an article, and then we're going to talk about this. This is going to be a long video, but it'll be worth your while. There's some sick people out here. There are some people out here that don't deserve the air they breathe. In fact, they're oxygen thieves. We'll talk about that as well. Hit it.
And now to a WSAZ investigation that we've been telling you about since Tuesday about 2 children deputies say were found locked inside a barn, like an outbuilding in Kanawha County.
And tonight we are learning more about what led to that discovery. And for the first time, we're hearing the 911 call from a neighbor who says they have been repeatedly reporting the problem to CPS. News Channel 3's Kim Rafferty joins us, and Kim, deputies tell us multiple reports have been made.
It's a disturbing discovery, deputies say they made Monday night in the Sissonville area of Kanawha County. Deputies say the 911 call came in at about 5:45 Monday evening. WSAZ has obtained that 911 call, and we have chosen to distort the caller's voice to protect their identity.
But there is a family that we have been calling CPS on multiple times. He has 2 kids locked in an outbuilding. They've been in there for days. They're in that with the red door. It's padlocked. Locked with a padlock? Yes, I've seen him open it, say something to the kids, and I watched him lock it back. The kids are locked in there. You can't miss it. It's a red, 2 double doors. They're red. They're locked in that, in the barn.
Deputies say they went to the barn after that 911 call, and that is when they found the 2 teens inside with no access to food, water, a bathroom, bed, and no way out. A couple of hours later, the deputies say these 2 relatives, Donald Lance and Jean Whitefeather, arrived back at the home and were arrested on felony child neglect charges. WSAZ reported that a couple calls were also made on the home at Cheyenne Lane involving abuse of the children that lived there back in May and September. Kanawha County deputies said they investigated those complaints and say the 2 prior ones were unfounded. The 3rd call, however, Donald Lance and Jean Whitefeather were not home, and that is when deputies discovered extreme neglect the children faced. I also spoke with the West Virginia Child Advocacy Network, which works with CPS and law enforcement to investigate allegations of abuse and neglect.
So it's often happening in homes, it's happening in neighborhoods. So neighbors need to look out for each other.
Kate Flack is the CEO of that organization. She says the person that reported the concerns to law enforcement is a hero.
Contacting CPS centralized intake is a great way to start investigations and maintain your anonymity. So if anyone observes an actual crime where a kid is being physically or sexually abused or severely neglected, call 911 if it's happening like then or you just found out about it.
WSAZ has reached out to the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources to find out more about the process for reporting, how many reports were made on the home on Cheyenne Lane in the last year, and how quickly cases are investigated after the caller's initial report.
Two relatives behind bars after an extreme case of child neglect in early October in Sissonville area of Kanawha County.
So for the first time, we are seeing one of those two relatives in court for a preliminary hearing. News Channel 3's Kim Rafferty sat in on the hearing today and joins us live outside the Kanawha County Courthouse. Hey, Kim.
Hey, Tim, both Gene Whitefeather and Donald Lance were charged in connection with a child neglect case where two children were found locked inside of a shed and another child was found in dangerous conditions. Now, Donald Lance waived his preliminary hearing today, but we did see Gene Whitefeather in court for the first time since her arrest.
Kanawha County's assistant prosecuting attorney, Deborah Rusnak, spoke about the testimony involving Whitefeather's case.
You heard the testimony today. What these children were going through is frankly horrifying and despicable. There's no other way to describe it.
On the stand, the deputy that responded to the call on October 2nd described the shed where she found two children locked inside at Whitefeather's preliminary hearing.
And one of them replied, "Ma'am, I'm unable to open the door from the inside."
Deputy H.K. Burdett describes what she says it looked like inside the shed.
I was repulsed, for the lack of a better term. As soon as the door was open, the heat from inside hit us. The smell it made my eyes water.
Burdett says in her testimony that the oldest child told her she lived in the shed.
There was a table and one chair, no running water, no circulating air, no beds. The toilet for the children looked like a hospital pan or like a camping toilet.
Burdett said she found 6 to 7 deep freezers of food in a section of the barn that could not be accessed, and she spotted a third child in dangerous conditions in the window of the home.
I don't believe there was any circulating air in the house either. It was a very nice house. There was hardly furniture in it. Very hot, very, very empty.
I attempted to speak with the defense, but we were not able to talk to them in the courtroom. Judge Leslie Grace denied a request for Whitefeather's bail reduction. Bail is still set at $200,000 with the addition of home confinement. Donald Lance, who was also charged in connection with neglect of the 3 children, waived a preliminary hearing.
Both of them are where they need to be pending the trial of this matter.
Now, days after both Lance and Whitefeather were arrested, WSAZ obtained the 911 calls, and Rusnak spoke about how important it is to report incidents that they find concerning in their neighborhoods. We'll also keep you updated with when Whitefeather or Lance is in court next.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Kim.
Well, the adopted mother of 5 children accused of keeping some of them in a locked shed in Sissonville was back in court today. And we got our first look into the shed where 2 teenagers were found at the beginning of the month.
Now, despite attempts from her attorney to reduce Jeannie Whitefeather's bond, it will remain at $200,000. Anna Saunders joins us live in the studio to walk us through what was argued. Anna?
That's right. Whitefeather's new attorney, Mark Plants, came to court today with pictures of the shed in Sissonville, calling it a teen clubhouse and hangout. He also brought Whitefeather's brother, who took these photos and testified there was a key found in the shed a week and a half later that would have allowed the children to get out. These claims, though, not enough for Judge Mary Claire Akers to lessen the bond. In an unusual move for a bond hearing, Jeannie Whitefeather's new defense attorney, Mark Plants, called a witness to the stand, Whitefeather's brother, to make the argument that the case where children were found locked in a barn in Sissonville has been misrepresented.
On its face, sounds atrocious. However, there are two sides to every story.
Whitefeather's brother, Mark Hughes, also from Washington State but recently moved to Chesapeake, Ohio, testified that on the phone, Whitefeather told him there was a key in the shed for the kids to let themselves out. A week and a half after Whitefeather and her husband were arrested, Hughes visited the shed and took these photos of the inside, including this one showing a key on the table.
That is the key, exactly how we found it. And when I saw it, I went, holy crap, is that really the key to this door? And how could the police possibly have gone through this and not noticed this key 3 feet from the door?
Assistant prosecuting attorney Fawn Cushman asking a similar question, pointing out that it had been a week and a half after the arrest had been made that these photos had been taken, alleging there was no proof this key was there the day of the arrest.
I don't know how it got there.
And you have absolutely no idea the condition that the children were found in when the police arrived, because you weren't there.
I was not there at the time, but I've spent an awful lot of time around these children.
Hughes testified that the last time he saw the children was at the beginning of September. The children told deputies that being locked in the shed was an everyday thing. A neighbor who called 911 that day said she had witnessed them being locked inside that day and had raised several concerns prior about the children's well-being. The responding deputy recently testified that the conditions inside were repulsive, with a smell that made her eyes water.
If there was a key on the desk that allowed her to enter and exit the shed, then why were the police outside for 2 hours and had to force entry?
Plants responded by arguing the possibility that children's statements to police were not credible and that they could have gotten out the whole time.
There's a key inside, and the 14 and 16 want their teenage clubhouse to go down there and play around. And a jury will make that decision. Thank you.
Judge Mary Claire Akers, however, siding with the state, arguing that Whitefeather, who moved here about a year ago from Washington State, was a flight risk, and if she owned a house valued at $375,000 with plans to move to Beckley, finances should not be a concern.
$200,000 cash is necessary. I understand what you're saying about the strengths and weaknesses of the case, Mr. Plants, but I cannot ignore that these pictures were taken a week and a half afterwards.
Now, Donald Lance, Whitefeather's husband, was also charged with felony gross child neglect. Right now, they are considered co-defendants, but Lance has not had a court appearance since his arrest. Both cases are set to be presented to a grand jury.
Okay, DRC family, check this out. I'm going to read you this article real quick. And it reads as follows. White West Virginia couple forced their adopted black children to work as slaves and live in a barn. A wealthy white West Virginia couple who have been accused of forcing their adopted black children to work as slaves and live inside a locked barn. Donald Ray Lance, 63, and Jean K. Whitefeather, 62, of Charlotte, West Virginia, pled not guilty on Tuesday to multiple new charges after their kids were found locked in a dilapidated shed after allegedly laboring on the surrounding farmland. The judge presiding over the case said the couple targeted their 5 kids, age 16, 14, 11, 9, and 6 years old because of their race, and they were used basically as slaves. According to the original arrest report in October, the 16 and 14-year-old children were locked in the squalid 20 by 14 foot shed with no lights, no food, or running water, with a camera planted at the top left corner of the room. The children, who smelled of body odor, were found wearing dirty clothes with sores on their feet after a wellness check was performed on the outhouse in Cheyenne Lane, which had no way of being opened from the inside. The shed sat on the grounds of the couple's 5-acre, 3-bedroom, $295,000 Sissonville property. They also owned an 80-acre, $725,000 home in Tonasket, Washington, which they sold after their arrest in October. Whitefeather stated that the barn where the girl 16 and the boy 14 were found was a teenage clubhouse, and they were not held against their will. The mother told deputies the children, who were all homeschooled, actually liked the shed they were locked in. However, the teenage girl told deputies that she was locked in the building approximately 12 hours and were last given food at 6 a.m. The building only had a small RV porta potty and no running water, according to images from the inside and the descriptions from the initial police report. The children were also forced to sleep on a hard concrete floor, they said. The criminal complaint stated, if there was a medical emergency or a fire, these children would be unable to exit the locked room for safety. Court documents says neighbors reported that the children were forced into farm labor and were not allowed inside the main house. Filings also state that the teenage boy found inside our house smelled of body odor and had open sores on his bare feet. 3 hours after finding the older child in the locked shed, deputies found a 9-year-old girl holed up in a loft inside the family's locked main house. Lance came home with the 11-year-old boy, while White Feather surrendered their 6-year-old girl to authorities, who has been with friends from the couple's church. Children Protective Services were called at the time and took custody of the children. The new charges the couples are facing include human trafficking as a minor child, use of a minor child in forced labor, the child neglect creating substantial risk to serious bodily injury or death. Their bond has now been set at $500,000 each, which is $300,000 more than each of their original bonds. The latest indictment outlined the upgraded charges claims the couple is guilty of human rights violations, alleging that the couples forced their children into hard labor because of their race. Kanawha County Circuit Judge May Claire Akers told Metro News that this case is the first of its kind that she has ever seen in her career, and that the couple's original bond of $200,000 was inefficient compared to the severity of their crimes. Along with human trafficking and neglect with serious risk of bodily injuries, I don't find the bond to be sufficient, Akers said. It alleges human trafficking, human rights violation, and the use of forced labor. Human rights violations specific to the fact that these children were targeted because of their race, and they were used basically as slaves from what the indictment alleges. The minors involved were 16, 14, 11, 9, and 6. The indictment suggests that 3 of the adopted children were Black. Prosecutors previously raised concerns that the couple's joint $400,000 bond money in February might have come from their alleged human trafficking activities. Kanawha County Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Christopher Krivaniak reported that the couple, who previously claimed to have no assets or income, sold their 80-acre farm ranch in Tonaskin, Washington for $725,000 on February 2nd. 3 days later, White Feather's brother, Marcus Hughes, posted 2 $200,000 bonds to get the couples out of the jail cells they were being held in. Then on March 28th, Krivaniak noted that they had also sold their home in Sissonville, where they were arrested for $295,000. Prosecutors concluded that despite whether or not the money was obtained legally, it was originally intended for human trafficking. Deputies say there are no prior criminal records of the 2 adults in West Virginia. Jesus Christ. Kanawha County Sheriff's deputies previously said that a complaint was made back in May of 2023 about the couple, and a second complaint was made in September. The nature of these complaints was similar to the charges the pair face now. In both cases last year, deputies said that they did not find any wrongdoing when they made the trip to the West Virginia home. They said they saw the children inside the home, and on one occasion, they were eating dinner. CPS was also called on the family, according to the neighbor Stacy Miller. Miller told West Virginia Watch that she witnessed the children out in the yard with their heads down and forced to stand in a straight line. Damn. She described that what she saw was forced manual labor. Neighbor Miller said she never heard back from CPS about the worries. I'm supposed to do the right thing and call for a government entity that U.S. taxpayers fund to not feel like I was listened to at all. That's heartbreaking for me. The couple's initial bond money is now in the custody of the court, which Kervanyak said that she'd be transferring to the children in the form of a trust fund. White Feather's attorney, Mark Plant, said at a hearing in February, the main allegation is that these children were locked in the shed. The evidence is going to show that there was a key inside. The case, on its face, sounds atrocious. However, there are two sides to every story. Guys, I seen this story. Like I said, I couldn't believe it. It took my breath away. And both of these people right here, every white person in America that, teach their kids not to be racist and trying to get past all this stuff and the negative history that America has on this history with, how black folks was enslaved and stuff like that, and trying to move past that, need to line up and kick them all both of them in the ass. For real, they need to parade these people from town to town and let all white folks kick them in the ass. We don't have to do nothing to this type of person. When they out you like that, you out. See what they did? I want you to pay attention. It was a lot of information, but I want you to pay attention. This is all it was in a nutshell. They went out. In October, they got in trouble, right? So all this stuff happened. Neighbors been calling, hey, they doing these kids wrong. Call CPS numerous times. Every time they was coming out there, they didn't see nothing. You know why? This is my opinion. I think the neighbors was like, we calling the police. They would fix the scenario, like change everything up. The kids come, this and that. Think about this, man. They had a 9 and a 6-year-old kid out there. They said the oldest two was in the shed. One was in a attic or I guess a loft. You know how hot it was? They said there was no circulating air. It's stifling in the summertime all over the U.S. Think about that. They had them in a shed. The girl said she didn't eat since 6 o'clock in the morning. Do you know just being in the heat wearing you down and force your body to burn its nutrients and stuff? They treated them just like slaves. That's facts. The boy is barefoot, got sores on his fucking feet. Who is he, Kunta Kinte? Are you fucking serious? That alone, if I knew where they was at in jail, you know what I mean? I was in jail with the dude or whatever, he wouldn't make it out of there. I'd fire his ass up for all the people that suffered at the hands of people oppressing them all over the world, not just in America. This is bullshit. And it needs to be outed. I looked at the news articles. They was under 1,000 views. I'm like, oh, hell no. Yo, it's buck wild. They came from Washington State. They only been in West Virginia a year, so you can't attack West Virginia. Everybody, you'll hear people in the comments, oh, West Virginia, why am I not surprised? They just moved there. Then when they got busted and got out, right? What did they do? $200,000 bond. The brother got him out. Did you see him lying in the video, y'all? Oh, I went near the key. There was a key there already. Key wasn't there in the video. The video, the footage they got in court, I don't know how it got there, but it was there when I was there. See the goofy shit? Then on top of that, he paid the bond, $400,000 for both of them to get out, $200,000 each. Boom, they sell the home. They waiting for the house to close. They get the money. Boom, go to bail out. Once they bail out, they get pulled back into court. That's why this is making news right now. Because now they back in court because of the stuff with the children. Now they back in court. We freezing all your assets and we're going to give it to the kids now. The video said it was going, wait a minute. This says already they didn't put it in the trust fund because they was deliberating that in the videos I showed you. Those videos from some time back. Now the kids get all that money. And they should. They suffered. They say, I don't give a damn if it was one day. You don't treat a human being like that. Not here, not now, not never. I could never understand when I was younger, man, how somebody would just, you know what I mean? Even when I would work and I was younger, and you would see like some dudes just sit around, not do no work, let you know they're not doing no work, like they bucking the system, gets paid the same as you, and sit around and act like, they doing the same amount of work as you. We supposed to work as a team, everybody work together. Talking about they got them all out there with their heads down in a line. I'll be goddamn. I went, man, listen. Before they were failed by these people that adopted them, these children were failed before. It's no way these children should be in any position to be adopted. Now, things happen, they lose parents and stuff like that. But as family, man, we need to take care of our own. We need to take care of our own, man, for real. And I'm not just talking about black folk, I'm just talking about everybody, period. We need to take care of our own. It's so much child neglect out here, human trafficking. It's a war on women. It's a war on children. We're seeing it, whether you're a toddler or a teenager. There are people out here right now that don't care about the lives and innocence and beautiful things in life that should be appreciated to make tomorrow better than it is today. There isn't. That's why, man, you bring a child in the world, you damn sure better have a plan and be ready to fall through with that. And then a plan B and plan A don't work. For real, having a child is a tremendous responsibility, and it draws from you, not just, from a female standpoint of pushing the child out in the world and risking your life, or a man, going out there and breaking his back to make sure your child has the necessity, his mother too. It's a lot that goes into that. That's a super huge step that a lot of people take for granted. And that's real. I feel bad for these kids. Just hearing what they was going through and how they was treated, and us watching slave movies, it hits us like, damn, you was doing that now? They locked in the thing for 12 hours. It's hot. Did you hear what the deputy that came on the scene, the woman? Did you see what she said? She opened the door and got hit with a foul stench. No running water. Got them locked up in there, shitting and pissing in a damn RV toilet. Man, it was stinking in there. Man, I wish I was a cop that came out there and seen that. I open the door. I get hit with the funk of 400 motherfucking years. Hell no. So I'd have cracked some heads. I'd have lost my badge that day. Real rap, word bomb. Who's responsible for this? Who's the owners? Put your hands the fuck out. I'd crack them. I'd crack them right the fuck off. Both of them need to be tied up like this and get bacon whipped off their fucking back. Y'all know better. A pound of flesh, no more, no fucking less. This is bad, man. People talking about PTSD. What the fuck you think they gonna have? You got a 9 and 6 year old that forced labor, eating one time a day. They 9, 6, 11, 14, 16. Come on, man. Looked like it was more girls than boys. The 16-year-old was a girl. I think the 14-year-old was a boy. And I think one of the little kids, the 6 or the 8-year-old, was a girl. All spread out all over the fucking place. Isolated. Children need to be together. Human beings are social beings. This is an infringement on their human rights. It is. And this right here, I don't know, man. It took a long time for me to find those news articles. This is not something you can type up and a news article come up. I mean, you got to look for this. But either way, man, the story's out. Fuck these people. Tear their asses apart in the jail. For real. I don't give a fuck how old they are. You got enough sense to do that. You got enough sense to get the foot in the ass. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. This is fucked up. And I know a lot of white folks out there right now like, damn, we can't never get rid of this shit. Like, we can't even let it go. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.